This app is in one of the most crowded categories out there, to-do list. But instead of bloated features and more productivity and hustle porn, this B2B SaaS founder built something dead simple and actually fun to use. The page looked great. No surprise, given the founders of branding and design pro, but the positioning maybe a little too safe. We dug into how to carve out a wedge in a horizontal market, who this is really for, and how to make the robot mascot do some heavy lifting. Let's dive in.
My name is Sharif, and I'm building Stupido. It's a effortless voice-powered to-do app.
I
And
love it.
thank you.
Super clear name. What inspired you to build this app?
Um, I've always struggled using existing solutions out there, like to-do list apps. I'm a person who loves playing around with new software, changing, trying out different applications, trying out all these different solutions that, new things, old things, very popular apps, uh, generally, but obviously in the productivity space as well. I've always wanted to be the type of person who maintains a very neat to-do list that I wake up every morning, or at the end of the day, I put all my to-dos on there. And it's just like this has always been my aspiration, but I've always failed. And it's not because the software out there isn't good. A lot of them are great and a lot of them work for a lot of people, but they just never worked for me. They never worked for me because I would end up feeling like they were a chore in and of themselves, like maintaining them and just setting these tasks, setting the deadlines, setting priorities, setting dependencies, setting subtasks. All that just ended up feeling like a chore at the end of the day. So that's why I decided to build Stupido as a way for me to really, really effortlessly just almost complain about my day and complain about what I have to do in a natural way, as if I'm speaking to a friend or something, and it would automatically just immediately update my list.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like some of the best software out there is built from scratching the pain that the founder actually has, and then connecting that pain to other people as well. I feel like also you have like an unfair advantage given that you're a branding and design like rock star. Do you think that kind of helped you or helped you out as you were kind of coding out this app?
I think definitely because again, I had this idea for the app maybe 2.5 years ago, early on in the early AI days. I tried to collaborate with several developers. It just didn't work out for no bad reasons. Just it wasn't our priority, I guess, at the time. Collaborating isn't the easiest thing always to keep going. So it never happened. And then maybe a few months ago, I saw everyone, building on Twitter using this vibe coding. And I thought, okay, I can do that. And of course, being a designer, it's like, uh, well, first of all, I work with lots of software companies, so I do understand a little bit about it. But of course, it gives me sort of like an advantage because now everyone can vibe code, but not everyone knows design and vibe coding, So it's almost like an extra strength that I can apply for the time being until, of course, a vibe designing or whatever, it becomes also a lot easier. But for the time being, I do think it allows me to really. I've gotten great feedback about the experience of the app, the interface, the way, the micro interactions, animations, all that definitely lean heavily on my design experience to make these things happen. And I think people are enjoying them so far, at least the testers are.
Awesome. I believe your app is currently in beta testing. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Who are the people who are kind of testing the app and who are kind of your ideal customer?
Uh, well, I'll answer the ideal customer first. The ideal customer, it's a broad, I think, thing. Maybe I need to niche it down a little bit, but college age to a little bit young professionals, maybe going into the kind of work environment and yes, so this kind of a little bit younger than I am, but I do think maybe 10 years ago when I was in school, time flies when I was in college and I was overwhelmed with all these things and also as a young working professional, all this work that you have to balance with home stuff and all your errands and all that. And again, this is kind of just like I always think of me and my wife as users of this app, and I imagine that's who would use this app.
I love it.
And you asked about the testers. Sorry.
Yes.
Of course, started out with just friends and family, and then slowly kind of expanded. I would post about it online, did a couple posts on Reddit, so got a few people from there. And I think, yeah, I haven't honestly been super on top of marketing for this. Not that I don't want to, but I'm just really focused on getting it out there. And I'm trying, of course, to make some videos on the side and just push some marketing as I do that.
I love it. It's also very apparent, even just from the landing page, of just how well designed it is and how kind of like your branding
Thank
side of
you.
things. So if you don't mind, if you want to kind of pull up the script page and we can kind of take a look.
Yes, of course. The page I put together a while ago when I was ready to put the app in beta testing, I wanted some sort of just a place to capture emails just to send out invites and also have emails for launch and things like that. So this is how this was put together maybe 2 months ago. I do need to update some things, but yeah, this is. Would you like me to scroll? Would you like us to discuss those
Let's stay
sections?
right here. I mean, first and foremost, the one thing that becomes immediately apparent is you instantly can pair into with good design, good branding. Love the robot mascot. Like it's really well done for an app that is so new. So mass kudos there. My thing that I think we should probably jam the most about is to-do lists are probably one of the most competitive categories out there. So what do you think, just from talking to your beta testers, what is kind of the core value prop that people are already telling you, or the thing that they're saying over and over again that they love the most about your app?
Oh, I think this is a great question. I can actually read probably from what the people have sent me. Let me bring something up. But essentially, as I find something, it's just mostly that again, and this is what resonated with me and why I built this. Mostly that it's not bloated and it's very I want to pick the right word, just simple. I suppose simple is the word. It's just very simple and it's not intimidating in any way. And it's just um, so this is from someone I met on Twitter who found the app and tried it, and he says, "Well done, man. Genuinely, I rarely enjoy to-do list apps anymore. Everything is so bloated nowadays." So I think this was not prompted. This was a genuine kind of interaction. Someone reached out in the DMs and this is exactly how I feel about all these to-do lists. They are very well made. They are very good pieces of software, and I know several of my friends use and successfully use some of these apps. Uh, and I think Stupido isn't meant to compete with them necessarily, because if someone is using one of these apps out there and already has a great system and has been using it for years now, because some of them are, very old. And not old in a negative way, but just like they've been around and they're very established. So if someone's happy with what they're using, I don't think Stupido's for them. Maybe they could try it and maybe they like it better. That would be great. But that's not necessarily who I'm going for. I'm going for people like me who struggled in the past and haven't really found that to-do list they like because they're bloated and intimidating and uh, a little bit maybe frustrating to use because of all the features they have. This is like a very simple app at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like from that quote that you read already from one of the testers, like then it makes obviously a ton of sense. Your H1 being stupid simple, the way to do list should be, like totally matches what testers are already telling you. Amazing. Maybe one thing you can do before we get back into positioning is take 2 or 3 of those quotes or testimonials from your testers and put that on your page. Because if the next goal is, to your point, getting as many people using the app as possible, showcasing, either you kind of either see the wall of love, social proof sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm sure you're a branding expert, so you know this better than even I do at sometimes. Add in just, a couple of social proofs that just kind of reinforce that. And you'll instantly take a page that's already really sharp and really good and turn it up from an 8 to a 10.
Perfect. Yes, I've have definitely thought of that, but you saying that also makes me want to do it even more. So thank you for that.
Yeah. The other question I had for you is you kind of obviously you're in a crowded category. It's a horizontal product. So pretty much you can pretty much appeal to almost anyone who needs to do list. Are there like, you already said already, this is not for people who are happy with their existing system. Is there a criteria that you're already seeing when it comes to the people who are testing it who are like you? Like what type of personality traits? What industries might they be in? Because how I would say it is, it's always easier to go super niche at the start and kind of conquer that niche before you try to go to everyone at once, particularly if you're a new app.
That makes perfect sense. I think the app works for, like you were saying, can appeal to almost anyone. Doesn't It's not like super industry specific, super age specific, anything like that. I am trying to do this with the branding just to make it a little bit more opinionated. I don't want to create an app that's like super bland in the messaging because I want it to appeal to everyone. I don't know if I'm doing a great job with that just because I'm not hyper focused on it at the moment. So even when I'm writing copy within the app now, because again, that's the priority, just the app itself, like on the onboarding, I catch myself writing just very neutral copy. And just because it's not even necessarily because my intention is to appeal to everyone, but it's just like the default tone, default. I'm just working on the onboarding screen and, what's the text here? And it's like super default. By default, I just mean super neutral. And I would like to go in and maybe make it a little bit more edgy, a little bit more opinionated, kind of to reflect also, there's this robot mascot. We need to give him a bit of personality. Um, some copy, I think, on this page, or I'm not sure even if I remember, but it was a little bit snarky. Like early on in the app, I think the empty placeholder was like no to-do list, no to-dos yet because you're not doing anything, things like that. And I think again, this would appeal a little bit maybe to a younger audience. So I will try to lean into that a little bit. Um, uh, but I haven't really gotten into or like focused so much on crafting that, I think. But that's definitely the direction I would like to head into.
Yeah, so you kind of answered part of my question there, which is personality, edgy, snarky, younger audience. Awesome. My kind of where I'm going to push back nicely is
Yeah, of
okay,
course.
younger audience, probably in college or just graduated or maybe, been in the workforce for, a few years. Is there like a particular type of professional, a particular industry where, you kind of seeing that feedback right now? Or if you were to having to like make a hunch, where would you put that bet? Because if you try to appeal to every single Gen
That
Z
makes
recent
sense.
grad, that's going to be
Yeah.
really hard to get traction for something like this. But if you happen to know, like, hey, maybe it's Gen Z grads with ADHD who hate every to-do list except for Stupido, that could be a niche. I don't necessarily, I'm putting words in as an example, but have you seen something like that?
I haven't seen any patterns in the testers. It's not like I have thousands of testers also to kind of extrapolate any patterns from there. But I'm glad you're pushing back because this is great to think about also. I think most of the testers are definitely at least uh, a little bit more early adopter thing and tech savvy than average, but I think this tends to happen any software that's kind of in early testing, because even if someone isn't, it's not like a complex app, so it doesn't need tech savvy people, but the people who are interested in testing apps early are usually fall into that category. So that's definitely skewing it a bit. Um, I would say definitely people who are more productivity minded. Uh, at least they have that on their mind. Again, like me, I'm not like a productivity guru in any way, or even a super. Again, I've struggled with all these apps, but it's always been an aspirational goal. So I feel like this has to be something that uh, the audience I'm targeting
Yeah,
have,
now we're
like
getting
this
somewhere.
aspiration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now we're
this
getting somewhere.
aspiration.
Productivity, personal development, probably white collar, professional, recent grad types. So, okay, that's definitely there. Maybe I'd even push that a little further and be like, oh, do you maybe want to segment this app for the to-do list for founders and freelancers and side hustlers who hate all the other to-do lists? Is something like that potentially the angle, you know, where I'm trying to get at, which is how can you give that personality the edginess and that you're looking for, but also make it so targeted so that you're instantly going to be like, this is for me or this is not for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something definitely to look into. I don't have an answer now, but going back to what you said about, for example, ADHD, I think
Mhm.
that's something that's been on my mind for so long. I don't have ADHD. I'm not diagnosed, at least. I relate to many of the struggles that people I know with ADHD tell me about. And I feel like this would be great for people with ADHD, whether it's like clinical or otherwise. I'm not sure, but I'm hesitant because I feel like I don't like I don't have ADHD, so I don't know if this like I just don't know how to adopt this direction in messaging, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. I'm not sure. I feel like maybe I'm an outsider and I don't want to be, you know, going in saying, "Oh, this is for you," even though I don't know, you know.
totally. That's a super smart, super self-aware approach to go about it. Could you maybe reach out to 5 or 10 testers who or recruit 5 or 10 testers who have ADHD and maybe are struggling to find a to-do list app and finally found Stupido and it actually works for them and maybe just interview them. You don't necessarily have to be your target audience per se, even if you just kind of relate to the same tendencies. I can also relate as someone who's not diagnosed with ADHD, but has a lot of those tendencies. Um, yeah, could you potentially do interviews, just, customer interviews with 5 people who are in your target market who fit this young professional thing, and then kind of figure out, and then just pair it back what they're telling you into the app interface, into your next version of your landing page once it's, in the app store, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely do that. There was an app I found a while ago that really leaned into the ADHD. It's not, I don't know if it's a to-do app. It's really an ADHD productivity app. So it's like fully that. And um, yeah, I'm just thinking out loud, so I'm not really saying anything like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want Stupido to be just strictly ADHD. But definitely, I think there's an angle there where you kind of balance or at least maybe even not necessarily mention ADHD as a term. Uh, Again, for the reasons I was talking about. But kind of like you were saying, maybe I would interview these testers and echo their, I think, what they liked about the app, what they didn't like, or what they liked or what they're using, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of the benefits of the app for someone with ADHD, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is for you if you have ADHD. So I think it's a different way to communicate, but could be very
Yeah,
effective.
absolutely. And also, like, since you are early stage software it's early stage software out there, one of the things that you have the advantage of is you can make an hypothesis, test it for 30 days or 90 days, see what sticks. If it sticks, double down on that niche until you conquer that niche, and then go to the next one. Or if it doesn't stick, go pivot into another niche. Something else you could do if you're like reluctant to be the ADHD to do list app. Instead, you can maybe just make it a little bit broader, but still pretty niche where it's like, what if it was, if this is all the things they're seeing, the to-do list app for people who hate to-do list apps, who are busy young professionals, who are juggling freelance, a full-time job, maybe they're juggling school as well, or like family obligations, putting all of that in one place. That's still pretty broad, but you can go pretty niche within the copy as well.
That makes perfect sense. It's funny because we do this with our clients, everything you're doing with me, but it's hard to do it for yourself. So I really appreciate this. You know, it's impossible, I think, to do it for yourself. I like the analogy of, you know, reading the label from inside the jar. I can't do it, but when you tell it to me, it sounds great and I appreciate it. So.
Yeah, totally. I get it. As a copywriter, I do the exact same thing, and it's always so hard to write my own copy. But like writing copy for a client or doing branding and design for a client is a
Yeah,
little bit easier because you've seen all the patterns and you don't have all the head trash. That it's your thing and
exactly.
it's your like this is your baby, this is your app. So getting that distance from it becomes a little bit harder.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome. If
Perfect.
you want to kind of scroll down a little bit more into the page,
Let's do it.
so cool. So I like the fact that this is, I'm assuming, a screenshot of the app with your mascot. Super cool idea. Love the idea that you already mentioned being a little bit edgy, snarky, fun, young. That robot 1000% does that. Scroll down. Cool. This is where I maybe challenge you a little bit more. You already have the testimonials because you've already said them from
Yes.
in this video already. Put in 2 or 3 of them somewhere on this page because that's what's going to help your case as you want to get more and more signups when this app is live. And then maybe as well as like I like the copy you have here, but maybe take a video tour or do a couple of screenshots where it's like, here's what the app actually looks like. So you're not just telling people it, but they can actually kind of see
You're
it for
showing
themselves.
them. Yeah, yeah. That maybe I replace this screenshots with a video, like a vertical video, and so because this is even old now. Like the app doesn't look like. I mean, it still looks more or less the same, but maybe it's like some quick recording of my phone, and it just walks them through the app. That I think that's a great idea.
Totally. And I like the illustration style of the screenshots. Those make a ton of sense. Maybe lean into that even more, but adding in that video, you have the advantage that I tell a lot of other founders that I do these videos with is, hey, you're the founder. Like you can do things that the big to-do list companies can't always do, which is you can be on camera. You can say, hey, I'm the founder and owner of this app. Here's all these things. Lean into that. That is your like superpower, especially in the early days.
Yep, absolutely. I'm trying to do that already. I don't know if you've seen the videos I've posted on Twitter and also posting on TikTok. No traction yet, but they're nice. They're nice to do as well. I mean, I understand it takes time, but I definitely agree with what you're saying. Yes, this is something that I can do that the big companies won't won't do
Absolutely. I'd
easily.
have like maybe one polished version of it on your homepage right now. And then maybe you have a secondary page where it's like, here's all the videos that I'm posting on YouTube and on TikTok so that people can go in and it doesn't need to be on your homepage because that can actually take away from what you want, which is to get people to sign up. But like
Yep,
have a secondary page where it's like, here, from the founder or something like that. And they can kind of be able to see exactly all of the ways that you use this app and or how your customers are using it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. If you want to stop sharing your screen,
Let me
is
do
there
that.
anything else before we kind of wrap up?
Um, I do have, this could be fun to look at. I don't know if we have time, but maybe quickly. But just because I didn't update the landing page in a while, and just 2 minutes ago I remembered I have the App Store screenshots. I've been working on those, and those have some good messaging as well. So I don't know, maybe we could do a quick look at those. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Do we have the time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me bring it up real quickly. Just because those are interesting because most people would find the app when it's live via the App Store. Like a big percentage at least. And I feel like the App Store screenshots kind of act as your landing page on the App Store. So I think that would be okay. Just give me 1 second and I will share my screen. So
Ooh. I
there
can just
they.
instantly tell, like, this is somebody who gets branding at a very, very high level, just given
Thank you, thank
how
you.
really good this is for the first version of it.
Thank you so much. So you can see a little bit more copy here, trying to, dial in on that tone for the copy. Again, this is like V1. Still need to review it. Added this a while ago, the ADHD and neurodivergent friendly sticker. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, would love to hear your thoughts if you have any. I know it's just springing this on you, but I am proud of how they look. But I'm
Yeah, the branding
really
and
hoping.
design look amazing. I would say I really like screenshot two. because it kind of communicates that stupid simple approach. And also, kind of leans into what you're already thinking, which is busy young professional who might be neurodivergent. 1000% screen 2. I'd maybe even make that kind of keep that where exactly how it is. Screenshot 3 also does the exact same thing. It just kind of showcases exactly what this is. Where I might challenge you a little bit is in screenshot 1. The to-do list app, the to-do app you'll actually use, that kind of H1, feels a little bit generic. And the fact that you kind of already mentioned stupid, simple, no bloated interface, I would maybe play on that a lot more in that H1, but that is literally just me nitpicking. So it actually makes it stand out a little bit more and you don't sound like every other app.
No, this is great advice. Yeah, maybe I need to, because this is the first also kind of like the main H1, so kind of needs to be, yeah. No, I'll
Yeah,
definitely
particularly when screenshot
rework
2
that.
and 3 are so clean and so telling you exactly what it is. That screenshot 1 H1 just honestly, if you were to literally just take the same H1 you have on your landing page and just use that instead of the new app you'll actually use, that would already be an improvement.
Perfect. Maybe I'll just do that then. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
I
And then
appreciate
I would say in general, the other ones I could think of is screenshot 4. Instantly and magically categorizes them too. Feels a little clunky.
okay.
Lean into magic if you want to do that. You probably don't need instantly. Like that's just,
Okay. Yeah, magically
filler.
categorized. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then all the rest of them look pretty good.
I do want to say one thing that I was intentional about, and maybe you noticed this, maybe you didn't, maybe you find this interesting, but I'm not mentioning AI at all. And I don't
Mhm.
want to mention AI at all. And I think there's too much AI now, and I think it's obviously, I love AI. I'm not an AI hater by any means, but I think in messaging you have to be very careful because now everything is AI powered. And I think for normies, and I say that lovingly, I don't mean like in a derogatory way, people don't really know what it means for something to be AI powered. Maybe it's a little bit intimidating or at least confusing. And I feel for Stupido, I don't want to generalize. I don't want to say for every app because, of course, for some apps, maybe it's a good selling point. But I feel for an app like Stupido, it doesn't add much. Just kind of, I want to talk about the benefits of it, and as opposed to, oh, AI powered to do app that does this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was important to me, and I think will remain important. Not that I want to hide that it's AI powered, but I just don't think it's important.
Yeah, I did notice, and I wasn't sure to bring it up or not, so I'm glad we did. I feel like one of the things that I see all the time, working with a lot of SaaS founders in particular, is there's such a big plus to be like, oh, we have this AI featured app, and 9 times out of 10, it's literally just ChatGPT and a different wrapper for something that doesn't even add any value to their app. So showcasing the restraint and not just saying, hey, we're AI powered goes a really long way, particularly if that's not necessarily what the value prop is. Your value prop for your app is, hey, stupid, simple, bloat, no bloat. The app to do list app for people who hate to do list apps. Yeah, AI is just going to complicate that. Like you can obviously imply that there's AI in this, but you don't need to share it.
Exactly. So I'm glad you agree, and I'm glad you noticed as well because I was like it's something early on I wanted to make sure is not like kind of the core of the app. Oh, this is a to-do app, but AI, and it's just like no.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
there's like a massive rush, particularly in the VC funded side of things, where it's like if you don't have AI features and you don't mention them through the rooftops, like you're suddenly irrelevant. But half the time, like by making it the AI everything app or whatever, you end up diluting your positioning to the point where you actually hurt your conversions. And I see this all the time where they end up killing their demos and their free trials because they went all in on AI and forgot what their customers actually care about.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Perfect.
Awesome. If
Uh,
you have anything else before we wrap,
all good. Thank you so much, Jessica. I
awesome.
really
Do
enjoyed
you
this.